Welcome to Reflections, the podcast that biblically encourages, equips, and empowers women for apostolic life and service. Here's your host, Dr. Cindy Miller.
Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Cindy Miller, and I'm your host for Let's Talk, and this is a podcast produced by Reflections Magazine. And today I'm joined by my fellow Reflections feature writer, Jennie Russell. And you may have read her page on mentoring for Dear Leader in the Reflections magazine. She's a credentialed minister with the UPCI. Her favorite job is being the wife of Kent Russell. And she is executive vice president of Urshan College and Urshan Graduate School of Theology, which makes her my boss, but she's not bossy.
No.
And today, our conversation, I invited Jennie in to join me because the theme for Reflections Magazine March-April issue is her story. And so we're going to be talking about women and their stories and how we live our lives and how we might sabotage our lives and not fulfill them. But I don't know if you know, but March is the designated Women's History Month in North America. And so last month, for our March podcast, I was with Sister Drury.
Oh, I love
Dr.
Sister
Evelyn Drury. I know. And so she's one of my heroes. And she spent her whole life really seeing things that other people weren't seeing.
Right.
You know, ministering outside of the norm. She got outside of the four walls of the church. She took the church into the community in a really unique way so she could meet needs. So she co-founded New Beginnings Children and Family Services. And so on that podcast, she was really sharing with us everything that she had done in life and what made her this trailblazer of a woman. We had such a great time together.
Oh, I'm so envious.
Yeah, I love her. So we're going to start out by talking about some of the women, and we've talked about it as we were preparing for the podcast, women who have inspired us. So I'm going to let you start, and then I'll jump in.
Okay.
But talk about some of the women who've inspired you.
Well, I think first and foremost, probably on both of our lists, is going to be Dr. Janet Trout.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, she is the epitome of trailblazer to me.
No one like her.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
capital trailblazer, capital letters,
so
large
much.
font.
You know, from a younger, I mean, I wish I would have known her back then.
Yeah.
But, you know, from a young girl, she accepted God's calling and she went on the mission field at, I think, 18.
Oh, yeah.
I believe
Single woman, yeah.
And then she is, I think, our first female president of a Bible college.
That she established.
Yeah, that she established.
She founded it, right?
Yes. I met her when she was in her 70s. I mean, she's on our board. She was our board chair, but we were in the middle of renovation and changed from Gateway to Urshan College. And she, you know, in the boardroom, she's business, she's all professional, but we had a thing to do. We had projects to accomplish. Here she pulls up that summer in a giant motorhome.
Extra long.
It was huge. And if you know Sister Trout, you know she's not that big of a person.
She's tiny.
She's tiny. And so here she comes driving up, and she was there 5 weeks, rolled her sleeves up. So she not only could take you from the boardroom, but she was out there working with us, boots on the ground.
Yeah, totally unafraid of the hard work.
Right. And so for me and foremost, I think she would be someone I would say is a hero. So
yeah, she's absolutely. I met her when I moved to New Jersey, and Brother Trout was district superintendent of New Jersey, Delaware. And from the moment I met her, I knew this woman was like no one I'd ever met before. And, you know, I've tried to learn from her as much as I can. And she's so generous. You know, she's so generous with her time, her learnings, her experiences.
And I think she taught us to dream. She taught us how to look at God's calling in different ways than I probably would have looked at myself. So
yeah, because if it was in you, then she probably is the one who convinced us that if God gave you that dream, then He's going to equip you to live it out. So then then we're just like, okay, well, all right. Okay, I have this big dream. I guess I'll go do it. And while she kind of just like, powerfully walked in that direction, I just kind of stumbled my way through, but at least I was headed in the right direction.
And so I think for her, if you're asking for models, that would be the epitome of greatness. But I think another model for me is my mom. She's not somebody that's out there in front of everyone, but she taught me daily the foundations of being who I am as a Christian. She leaned on God. She came from Japan. She married my dad. He was in the Marine Corps, and she came here knowing nothing, and all she had was God.
Yeah, she didn't speak the language.
She didn't speak the language, and all these life lessons I learned from her. So she might not have been this out-of-the-box person, but she was very much a day-to-day trailblazer to me.
Well, obviously she modeled courage for you.
Yeah.
Because that took a lot of courage to leave everything and the familiar.
Yeah. And we were talking about some of your models.
Yeah, you're right. I want to give my mom a moment too, because my mom's definitely not out in the public kind of woman. But my dad at that time, after I was grown, he did, start living for the Lord. But in my growing up years, my dad didn't go to church, and my mom faithfully took us to church. And my dad was a very supportive dad. Like, he wanted to make sure we were involved. So I appreciate that about him. But my mom, I learned about fasting by watching my mom go through times of prayer and fasting and just being really committed to kingdom, to the church, to God. And so I think for both of us, and we talked about this before, we wouldn't be sitting in this room right now without moms who said, you know what, my calling in life is to invest in my children and equip them for kingdom purpose. And that was their God-given purpose, to make sure that we were spiritually healthy and whole in so many other ways as well. But great women. So one more I want to bring up. She's not older. She's, in fact, younger than me. But so I have this really good friend that Denise Wynn.
Oh, I love her.
I know. Yeah. She's amazing. She can make me laugh like no one else. But I admire her so much. She is visionary. But her vision, because if you don't know her, she's the founder of Able Ministries, that's also sponsored by Ladies Ministries with the UPCI for disability. It's a disability ministries. But when I met her son Sean, special needs child, it was just a very traumatic time in their life. A lot of hospital stays, diagnoses that they weren't expecting, trauma, just so much going on in her life. And I can remember a conversation. I met up with her at a restaurant and just trying to be a good friend and encourage her. But then she had dreams. She was like, I wish we had, And there comes a point where I wish somebody else would provide this, becomes no one else is providing this. So maybe God is asking me to step up and provide it. And out of her pain, was birthed her ministry.
And what a ministry!
And what a ministry, yeah. So she's very visionary, tons of fun. So I just want to say, you know what? She used real life challenges and her deepest heartache to say yes to what God was trying to do.
Yeah.
So her story's unfolding. Our mothers are still with us, thank the Lord. And they will continue to influence us and support us and encourage us. And
Always.
they're that voice in there. I still want to hear my mom say, "I'm so proud of you." You want to hear that? Yeah, you can do it. And then there's Sister Trout. She's always going she cannot go be with the Lord. She just has to stay here until Jesus comes.
That's it. She will.
We need her for the rest of our lives. So we're talking about these great women, big dreams, big visions.
They are great women.
They are, and there's a lot. And probably you listening, you're thinking, oh, I wish you knew about this one. I wish you knew her. You're thinking about your own mom or sister, friend, whoever, pastor's wife. So many. Because I'm going to tell you. Our denomination is just loaded with amazing, great women.
So many great women.
And they're accomplishing wonderful things. And then, Jenny,
there's us.
there's the ordinary women. There's us, you know, who we're still like
we're a work in progress.
We're a work in progress, and we're still figuring out so many things, you know. And it's like, Lord, you know, I've got more gray hair now than I've ever had. We got to figure this out quicker, sooner rather than later, Lord.
Yeah.
I have not been doing any trailblazing lately.
No.
You know,
I understand.
Not setting fields on fire.
No.
Nothing like that. But I think our listeners are a lot like us. Okay, we view ourselves as ordinary women, but we want to make a difference in our world for the kingdom of God.
So much so.
You know, for good. Like, I want to be a kind neighbor, and I want to do good things. But honestly, if it's not for God's purpose and kingdom building, it really, at the end of the day, doesn't feel like it matters. Yeah. So I want to bring this to you. So I'm going to have a few quotes from Rick Warren. It's an old book, Purpose Driven Life. You are very familiar with it. But he asked a great question. I'm asking you and all the listeners to think about for just a moment. He asked the question, what drives your life?
That's a good question.
Not like what you spend your time on or, you know, what your schedule is for the day.
Yeah.
But what drives your life?
Wow, that is a really good question.
I know. So because I don't want to ask this question, you know, and say, okay, everybody in the room but me answer this question. I'm like, you know, we can be driven by a lot of things that we're actually, it's taking us away from God's bigger purpose for what he wants us to accomplish. We're going to talk about some of that. Then another great question that we have to ask ourselves is what I do driven by God's purpose for me, or by needs or demands, or, you know, or maybe even, and we'll get into this in a little bit, is it driven by fear? Is it driven by
comparison?
Is what I'm doing driven by, I need to feel better about myself, so let me go out and accomplish something where everybody will go, oh, you're so great. Yeah, you. Which they don't, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. I'm not getting any yay yous.
I'll give you a yay you.
Oh, all right. That's why I asked you to come in today. Like, I knew I could count on you. So when we're talking, as we are today, we're going to talk about dreaming big and allowing that big dream that God gives us to come to the surface and be released and you know, do something with it. I do think we have to prayerfully consider our motivation.
Oh, very much so. You know, we got to know our heart. You know, David prayed that. No, I want to know who I am every day. Search my heart, because it's so
my heart. Because I think, and we're both in the field of counseling, I think it's easy to get confused with my needs. I want my needs to be met, and so I want to use God's kingdom to accomplish it instead of God accomplishing his work for his purpose through me. And so, you know, really saying, Lord, I feel I have this desire, and I dream about this. It's driving me. But do I have the right motivation? Is it to bring God glory, or am I hoping I will get the pat on the back? Am I hoping that's going to launch me so I'll be recognized?
Yeah.
Separating that.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think this conversation is so important because I think, you know, we've had this conversation earlier, and it's taken us in so many different directions.
Every time we talk about this. I mean, we might be doing this podcast for 4 hours. I hope you're all on board with us.
But
this episode alone.
Take 5. But yeah, you're right. And what is our purpose? Because it's almost like we have a target, and God has given us a dream. But if we don't have the right motivation, we're going to just kind of go down so many different paths to get to these different places God's intended us to.
Right, because he's not calling all of different people like, okay, you go start this and you go start that. And that, it's all for his purpose for kingdom building.
It's about the kingdom.
Instead of our own personal, I have a ministry, I have a nonprofit, I have, this is my nonprofit, this is my thing.
Yeah.
And really, so I think first step is in that prayer, search my heart. Lord, help me to know myself. And if I'm using you, God, and I'm trying to create something to make me feel good about myself, then Lord, I don't want it to amount to anything. I want it to stop right here.
Right.
But the other thing about dreaming big is I don't want my humanity side of me to always get in the way of allowing God to work through me, because we're human.
Yes, and we have fears, it stops us, it paralyzes us.
Yes, it does.
He puts something in our heart. He puts that dream into us, and we sometimes don't take it anywhere because of that fear. And he's planted that seed there. We are unique, and he has created each of us differently. You're reaching people I'm not reaching. Our listeners are reaching people that we're not reaching, because God made them unique, and they have so much to offer. But sometimes we get so caught up in that fear. I can't do it.
Really even thinking somebody else can do it better. I don't matter. I must have made this up because surely God didn't pick me. And he's saying, yes, I am picking you. I've chosen you. And I think you made a comment in a previous conversation we had that really is just sticking to my mind, is as long as we, and you can correct Mike, but the paraphrase is, as long as you see a dream as your dream, it may never go anywhere. But when you understand that is not your dream, that's God's dream for your life.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that totally takes it in a whole different direction.
Yeah, because we were talking about Sister Trout earlier, and I think in that other conversation you and I were having, we were talking about one of the things that helped me give me confidence was Sister Trout in our discussions was when we were talking about what the school was going to do. It was never about her dream for the school. It was God's dream. So everything that she was going to accomplish was going to be through him. And when we understand that the purpose and the dreams that God has given us are not about us and they're about him, then he's going to help us accomplish that.
Empowered by the Holy Spirit. And how many times in the New Testament does it talk about do this as you're empowered by the Spirit to do it? And
good thing bringing in the scripture. Very good.
Oh, good moment. Good moment. Yeah, empowered by the Spirit.
Yeah.
And so that takes a lot of pressure off too.
Oh, yeah.
Takes the fear out, because if I'm walking led by the Spirit, empowered by the Spirit, then I have to believe every next thing that comes my way is a God appointment.
Yeah. Like Denise. If Denise would have done it on her own, she would have become so overwhelmed. But this was a dream God gave her.
Yes, it is.
And she accomplished that daily, and the next step that's made Able Ministries what it is, because it was God's
and
dream.
I can tell you from conversations with her, Able Ministries, which is outside of North America now, it's reaching other countries.
Wow.
It's so much bigger than she imagined, sitting across the table having that chat about it, right?
See, and that's the whole thing
dreams.
too. We were talking about this earlier too. Share your dreams with your inner circle, those people that you're safe with. So I would say this to the listeners, and we didn't talk about this earlier, but I think it fits here. Share your dreams with the safe people, because God wants you to accomplish that. But you need people. You need each other, and that person that's safe is going to really come alongside you. If you hadn't been there at that table with her that day, of course you would have accomplished it. It's God's dream, but what were you to her that day?
And God puts people in your path.
Yeah.
He will continue to do that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about addressing the fear, looking at our motivation, but now we're moving into like, okay.
Oh, you're going to come into some hard stuff, aren't you?
Now we're going to get to the hard stuff.
I knew you were going to bring hard stuff in.
So you and I, busy women, our listeners, busy women, but something has touched their heart. We have dreams. We have things we're working on, wanting to become part of the solution to a problem. Let's talk about the importance of focus.
Oh.
I know. This is so painful.
Okay.
Again, quoting Rick Warren. This is not Cindy Miller at all saying this. This is just a quote. if you want your life to have impact, focus it. Okay, I'm good with that. Like, yeah, I want life to have impact. I'm focusing, yes. Then he really goes into it. He really gets,
You're gonna
he
say
steps
something.
on my toes.
Okay.
Stop dabbling.
Oh.
Stop trying to do it all. Do
No.
less.
No.
Prune away even good activities and do only that which matters most.
Wow.
Never confuse activity with productivity.
Oh.
I think I just want to have a moment in the altar and repent. I need the Lord.
Oh, you're going to convict
that
me.
is such a convicting statement.
That is a very convicting
Because
statement.
up until this point, you know, it's like, yes, Lord, my motivations are right. Yes, I'm walking out of the fear. I'm not going to compare myself to others. And yes. And then he's like, okay, well, here's the hard work. You've done the heart work.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have to do the hard work. So when I read that, you know, I was just like, oh my goodness, because I love every single thing I do.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, maybe not cleaning the bathrooms in my house, but, you know, I love my home. But I really love everything I do. Like, just say, prune it away. I'm like,
Yeah, and because it's good. It's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and it's all about the Lord and ministry and
right.
family and
But we only
loving
have-
people.
But we only have so many hours in a day.
And then, you know, the older you get, you got to get that nap time in there. So, I mean, I can't prune that away. You know, I wish I could have a nap time. So I want my life to have impact, Jenny.
Yes.
I do.
Right.
But I still need to clean my house and I still need to cook some meals. And so
Real life.
real life. And so all of us ordinary women, we have to think about, all right, so I'm going to focus, but that doesn't mean I abandon my family or I quit my church responsibilities or I leave my job. You know, so when you hear me say, stop trying to do it all, Jenny,
I'm convicted right now.
is that even realistic? What are we doing with the statement? You know, like, I want to have an impact in my world. Okay, focus.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. But you're right. Focus is important because if we don't live purposely, we can do a lot of stuff, but are we going to accomplish what the Lord has for us to do? Because we can do a lot of stuff. I mean,
And we're busy all the time.
Oh, yeah, we're busy all the time. Oops, sorry. But we don't have the luxury to just, it's like a hamster on a wheel.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sometimes we get on that wheel and we feel like we're going a lot, but we're not. We're staying in one place. And I think sometimes that happens here when we talk about activity versus productivity.
And the whole thing was like my brain switching. Like I'll be like, okay, today I'm going to focus. But then you get the email, you get the phone call, or you remember the calendar deadline reminder prompt comes up and says, oh, you know, you've got a dentist appointment at 11, and you're like, oh, there goes my day. Or the sick child, you get the call, come pick them up from school, and you're like, well, there goes my day. But important.
Yes.
You know, like, I don't want my teeth to fall out. I don't want sick children left at school abandoned, all important. But it is doable.
Yes.
Obviously, there are people who know how to focus. And so I really think that we have to kind of talk about what is that going to mean to prune, do less? What does that mean to you? And I'll tell you what it means to me.
Oh, okay.
You first. And
Oh, thanks. Great friend. I think it means for me that I take all the activities and all the things that I need to do, all the invitations and all the responsibilities, and I have to sit there and go, what is the priority and what, like you said, what's the focus? What is the dream that I'm supposed to accomplish? And if this is a good thing, but is it going to get me down the road to what God's intended purpose is? So even right now, I have given up a couple of things because I know that God has given me a dream about something. So I have had to say no to this, get organized in other areas. So those are some of the things I think.
it goes back to having a plan.
Very much the plan.
And I think you're a planner.
I'm very much a planner and organized.
And I think that's one of your giftings.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You wouldn't have accomplished all that you've accomplished at this point in juggling so many different pieces of all of your ministries if you were not able to look at things and put them in categories, you know.
Well, don't see me on yesterday then.
Listen, this is not the confessional. We are not confessing our worst day. We're just saying on a good day, on a good day, this is what we do. So there are always going to be challenges. That's just the bottom line.
Right.
There's always going to be the interruptions and the challenges and the schedule that just can't quite align.
Right.
So for myself,
tell me.
I am. So for myself, I think for me, so I'm going public with something, dear sisters and ladies, like that you can all hold me accountable for. I don't know, that's what this hesitancy you're hearing in my voice. I wasn't sure. But so I have been working on a textbook for pastoral care and counseling for my programs here at the school.
Yes.
And hopefully not just for that, but that it would be a resource for pastors and ministers to use as well.
And it's been a dream.
It's been a long time dream. And so what was it, like 2 years ago?
Yes.
2 years ago, we were talking about the need for apostolic resources, and other folks have mentioned it. And so I shared, like, I am, Jennie. It was so pitiful. It was really embarrassing. Like, yeah, I'm trying, Jennie, to write this book, but I'm so busy. Well, lo and behold, she shows up in my office with her computer and her calendar, and like, okay, chapter 1, what's chapter 2?
Here's the deadline.
Like, we laid out all the chapters. She gave me due dates and deadlines, which I then made a lot of excuses around and blew it out of the water. So what I came to the conclusion, accountability matters.
Yes.
Because she's still checking in with me. She's still looking at me and saying, okay, how's it coming? But I didn't have to do it overnight.
No.
You know, so
one step at a time.
Yeah. So those baby steps. So I stopped saying, I'm going to write a chapter, and I went to, I'm going to write a section.
Yes.
In the chapter, because it's doable. Like, that's really manageable. I can take one topic and write a section for that week. And, you know, in a period of time, this book will be done.
Yes.
And it will be done well.
Yes.
Maybe not in the time frame I wish it was done, or you wish it was done. But it'll be done.
Yes, but it'll be done.
So I guess for me, when I look at navigating real life, I have to give up unrealistic expectations.
I love that. That is so true. Unrealistic expectations.
Because I wanted it 2 years ago.
Yeah. And that would have paralyzed you, and you wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, the fear of it, because now I'm trying to do this and I can't get this done, and life was really demanding. You know, it's always going to be demanding.
Yeah, because life is full of real life stuff.
Real life stuff, good stuff, godly stuff. I'm not going to quit going to church to write a book.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of, the Lord wouldn't be pleased with that.
No.
All right, so that leads me to the next point we need to talk about, and that is excuses that we make.
Oh, we do that, don't we?
And eliminating excuses. So we're talking about these women who inspired us through the years. And you know what? I think it's important that we stop for a moment. They will always be heroes.
Right.
But I think we have to say these are real women. Like, they got discouraged. They got tired. They had criticism come their way. Obstacles. They lacking funds sometimes, lacking support in other areas. And so if they had just allowed all of the negatives to stop them, wow, I mean, how sad that would have been for so many people that were blessed by their lives.
Dreams
and are
would not
continuing to be blessed by their lives.
Yeah.
And so I think that we need to cut out the if only thinking.
Oh, that's so good.
So we get up and we go, if only I had more money, I could get this done. If only I had a team of skilled and committed volunteers, you know. If only I could quit work and just focus on this.
Yeah.
But you know what? That would be nice, but that's not reality, you know. So, I mean, it's a miracle I'm praying for in my own life, you know, not to quit work, but to have that team of volunteers that are really highly skilled and trained. So you told me one time, you just don't even allow if only to enter your brain. You get up in the day, you face what you have to do, and if only is not part of your inner dialogue. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, because it can overcome me because there are so many things I want to do or things that are projects here, but when I get up, I think I try to take life one day at a time. I get up with the Lord's help and just take it day by day. Be present in the moment. Yeah. God will help me through this moment, through this day. So if only does creep up, it can and it will, but I try to shove that aside to say, but God is with me right now and I can do this.
So if only is going to be there.
Yes, if only is there.
But talking back to it is saying, well, it would be nice, but that's not my current reality.
Yes.
And God has entrusted me with today to accomplish what I can today.
Yeah.
But it's things that I think this commonality among the women that are going forward and accomplishing is really they're doing it for the Lord. It's God's dream being lived out through them. Right. They're not insecure because they know this is God's project, God's big dream. Right. And he's allowing it to be in my life. It's going to be part of my story, unfolding story of life. Yes. And just having that, and I think without truly being committed to the Lord in prayer and allowing his word to speak into us, being empowered by the Spirit, we do burn out. We get weary in well-doing. We give up because we just feel like, you know what, nobody else cares about this ministry or this topic or this need or this social issue. Yeah. Nobody else cares. If God cares, shouldn't that be enough? God cares.
God cares.
And he saw something in each one of our listeners that he's like, I know you will care about something that matters to me. So I chose you to go and carry this out.
Yes. You are his hands and feet.
Hands and feet, absolutely.
And he put that dream into you.
And getting a hold of that, I think, is so beautiful. I think it's life-changing. Yeah. So I'm gonna sum it up. Okay. This is God's big dream. It's your purpose. And he's allowing you to live out the big dream, and it's going to be part of your long-time, eternal story. Yeah. But it's time to focus.
Oh, yes, focus.
That word. Eliminate the excess that's in your life that keeps you from doing what God's asked you to do, and stop making excuses.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, what God has called you to do, he will empower you. So we're going to stop making excuses. Last Rick Warren quote for the day. Living to create an earthly legacy is a short-sighted goal. A wiser use of time is to build an eternal legacy. And you know what, Jenny? If we can do that, then it's a life worth living, isn't it?
It is. Embrace the process. Yeah. He put it in us.
Yeah, just do the next thing. Take that next baby step and keep holding me accountable.
Yes, everyone look for that book. It's going to be coming out at some point soon.
At some point, yes. No pre-orders, though. No pressure there. So thank you, Jenny, for joining me for this conversation. I always enjoy our time together.
It's been fun.
And to those of you who are viewing or listening, our goal for coming together and having this conversation is we just want to say to you, dream big. This is God's word to you, and he is going to be with you in it. If you feel like, I don't know what my big dream is, you know what, just continue to seek the Lord, and that God purpose for your life will be revealed to you. So we want this episode to inspire you and not frustrate you.
Yes.
And for all of you who are like, get focused, we're all in it together.
All together.
This is like the sisterhood of getting focused. So please do, let us hear from you. We want to hear about your experiences and how you're focusing your life and doing what God's called you to do. So I hope that you are subscribing to Reflections Magazine. If you have not, please do subscribe. So for every episode of Let's Talk, the podcast, there's an article in the magazine that provides more insight and resources into the topic that we discussed here. And so in this last 30 seconds, I'm going to remind everyone, we have some great resources in the notes section, so check it out. And make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, love, whatever you want to do to our channel. Just embrace it, share it with others. Help us get the word out that there is a podcast for apostolic women. So do it now and don't wait. We thank you for partnering with us in this ministry. Be blessed.